Welcome to the Week 10 edition of Hit That Line. I'm your host, Zach Berry. Ben Woodhouse, Austin Gray here with us as well. Nicholas Carr is working, so he is not with us, but he has sent us his locks. We will get to that momentarily. Before we get into Ole Miss, Texas A&M, do want to remind you this show, as it is each and every week, brought to you by the good folks at homefieldapparel.com. Go to the website, get you some merch. The Ole Miss collection is there. And when you go to checkout, make sure to use promo code TOC23. Weather is getting quite nippy. It has been in the low 40s, high 30s the last couple days. Big cold front. Maybe you want to get a hoodie, quarter zip, bomber jacket, all of that and more at homefieldapparel.com. Check it out. And when you do, promo code TOC23. For 15% off your first purchase. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome into the Week 10 edition. How we doing?
Doing good.
Oh, yeah.
Another good week.
Was a good week.
You know, I got back on the winning track. Did y'all as well?
No, I did not.
Which,
I was the albatross around our necks last week.
I had 1 and 2 week as well.
Austin rolling out a 2 and 4 over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, there won't be a worse bet we make this season than Purdue last week. They are atrocious. Like Nebraska had walk-ons at offensive line, at receiver. Their starting running back was out, and Purdue still couldn't do anything against Nebraska.
I tried to
shout out. Go ahead, Zach.
Well, I was going to say I tried to ride the JMU wagon. We hit some mud. Didn't cover the 19.5 against Old Dirty Minion. But Nick, he's not here to get his flowers, but we'll mail them to him. He went 3-0, big week for him. But still, the group is clicking on all cylinders. We're 63 and 45 overall. Ben is leading the pack at 17 and 10. Nick and Austin are 15 and 12, and I'm 16 and 11. So we're still operating in a pretty efficient clip right now.
It's
we
it's
continue
been a good year.
We continue to avoid that week where we all go like over or 1 and 2. So let's keep that up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get into Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I believe I'm gonna hit refresh. Make sure we have the correct line that is up to date as we record this at 8 p.m. local time, Wednesday, November 1st. Ole Miss is still right at 3. Giving 3 points to the Aggies. I don't have much here, guys, to be honest. Like we were talking about trying to be mindful of our time tonight, as Austin's got some work stuff that he has to handle himself as he travels tomorrow. But I don't know about y'all. I don't have too much analysis here. I think Ole Miss is the better team. They're at home. They have the better quarterback. And I like this Ole Miss defense right now. They've gotten stronger with each passing week, and Quinshon Judkins looks to be 100%, and he himself getting stronger as the season goes on. I like the Rebels here. I'm laying the points. I really don't think A&M can really do anything to scare me off of that. You kind of look at their body of work leading up into this game, and our good buddy Gray Hardison over at Red Cup Rebellion, we were talking about it. He mentioned kind of his counter to, A&M's super talented up front defensively. They're going to give Ole Miss some fits that way. He kind of broke it down, and I really kind of like what he said. He said in the SEC, the best offense they played is Tennessee, which is a huge drop-off from where Ole Miss is right now statistically. The best offense overall they played is Miami. They threw a lot, scored 48, had a lot of short fields due to turnovers, but a lot of that is due to them forcing those turnovers. And they have a similar passing efficiency numbers to Ole Miss. The thing I keep going back to, and Gray said it as well, Ole Miss put up 530 yards on DJ Durkin last year. 390 of those were on the ground. I don't think Jackson Dart was nearly as good as he is now as he was last year. And, Quinshon Judkins went for 2 bills in that one. And that was on the road in a pretty hostile Kyle Field. So I think it'll be tight for 3.5 quarters, but I think Ole Miss wins, 7 to 10 points, 7 to 10 point win, anywhere around there. So I like Ole Miss's chances Saturday.
Austin?
Yeah, I like our chances as well. I think I'd feel a lot better about our chances, or I think I'd feel good enough to lock in the three actually. If you told me which offensive line of ours is going to show up this week, we've just
Mhm.
been so inconsistent and up and down there. Um, this season got really dominated by Bama, which is comparable to A&M's front. I think Bama's probably better in the front seven. A&M's got, 5 stars and blue chips. There's no shortage of talent, as you mentioned, Zach, but they don't seem to play up to their talent, and Bama does week in and week out. You know what you're getting with the Bama front. So I think A&M is good. I just don't think they're Bama level. But our offensive line got abused against Bama. Um, after really struggling against Tulane earlier in the year. But after that, we've played relatively well. Now there were moments against Arkansas and even Vandy where we had some missed assignments and some slip ups. Got to clean some of that stuff up because this front can make you pay, and Vanderbilt really couldn't. So we need a really good effort from the O line. A little concerned about Dart and his health. I think he's still dinged up after Arkansas. Um, I think that led to some of the inconsistency we saw against Auburn. I think it impacted him maybe even a little bit last week against Vandy. But if he's close to 100%, and even if he's not close to 100%, I think he's a significantly better quarterback than Max Johnson. So I
Mhm.
like our edge there. I like the coaching matchup too. We've seen now there's a large enough sample size. Kiffin circles this game and just abuses Jimbo. And he got Durkin last year. I I I don't really see Durkin stopping us this year either. I am the wrinkle that I am interested in seeing is Petrino versus Pete. I think that's a really good
Mhm.
matchup and one that's kind of flying under the radar because of the Kiffin and Durkin and Jimbo storylines. The two coordinators that I think are going to decide the game are Petrino and Pete. I really do. I think if our defense is as effective as it's been the last several weeks, and really all season, save for LSU, which is an outlier, um, I think we can shut down this A&M offense. I don't think they're going to be able to run on us. Nobody really has run on us. I don't trust Johnson to air it out, even though he's got some good weapons on the perimeter. He hasn't really been able to 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 go vertical on anybody. So I like us. I think it's going to be sweaty. I think it's going to be closer than we would prefer. I wish it were a night game. I get that not every home game can be a night game, but I wish this one was a 6 o'clock kick. Um, I think the crowd's still going to be in it though, because it's a huge game. I mean, it goes without saying. You win this one, move on, survive in advance, and suddenly we are really in the thick of the playoff picture.
Mhm.
Uh, so I like the Rebs. I'm tempted to lock in the under here. 53 and a half, 54, something like that is what's floating out earlier in the week.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't know
so.
where
That's
we are
right.
now,
Yeah.
Zach. I think this
Yeah.
plays in the 20s, guys. Jimbo has no interest in pushing pace, even with Petrino running the show. Petrino doesn't seem interested in pushing pace. Kiffin has strategically slowed down pace for us this year. I mean, he did it against Bama, did it a little bit against Arkansas. We've picked our battles, when to really slam down the gas and when to back off. So I think this is something like 28-21 revs. I don't think either team gets in the 30s here.
Their pace is what concerns me a little bit on the cover aspect. Not, I mean, what the score you just gave, we would cover, but I'm afraid that we're going to continue to go fast, and they're kind of going to pull a Kentucky from last year and just chew the clock the entire game. I could be wrong. I mean, the reality here is A&M has so much talent, but I think they're a little bit limited at quarterback
Hmm.
in what they can do. Not so much to say that Max Johnson's not serviceable enough to beat Ole Miss. I think he is. I'm just saying he's not Jaden Daniels, for example, right?
Mhm.
Or even I don't know. I mean, obviously he's not Jackson Dart, but I don't know that he is. What's the guy from State's name that's hurt? Will, what's his face?
Rogers,
Anyway,
yeah.
Rogers.
Rogers, and so I mean he's a decent player, but he's not going to like set the world on fire. I'm going to lock in Ole Miss to cover. I'll take the
Mm.
first lock here.
Okay.
It, I probably wouldn't have it at 4 and 5. I mean, I'm sorry, at 4.5, but um, the line shifting down, I'm just going to take that 1.5 point cushion. I think it's going to go back out to 4.5 by the weekend, and take that 3.5 and take the Rebels to cover the 3 points. Ole Miss is so much better coach than Texas A&M, that and playing at home and having the better quarterback, and keep in mind, guys, like A&M has fancy and really high rated recruiting classes. I don't think anybody would dispute that, in a wonderful collection of talent, or however Lane Kiffin calls it. A lot of our really good players, especially on defense, are older transfers. Like those 23-year-old, 22-year-old secondary guys, they don't care that 19-year-old player was a 5-star. Like they've played so many college football games, and are skilled enough, talented enough. I mean, the only team really that's just like lit us up through the air was LSU, and they light everybody up through the air. So, and a couple of those plays weren't even catches.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, I'm going to take Ole Miss to cover. I like the Rebels here. Judkins is getting stronger as the season's gone on. Ole Miss seems to be healthier, sans the Watkins hand injury, but really he, didn't seem to affect him that much against Vanderbilt. So I think Ole Miss wins by 10 points. I think it's 31-21-ish, and I think the under is there, and Ole Miss covers.
Yeah, right now I'm seeing 54.5 at FanDuel. Yeah, I could see this being like a 17-10 game. And then Ole Miss scores late, 24-10, puts it away. Maybe A&M gets a garbage touchdown. You still, whatever. I'm not too terribly worried about the A&M offense. Like, that's my question is like, do you truly believe Max Johnson can beat Ole Miss straight up? Like, what does that even look like? Like, what's a really good Max Johnson game look like? I mean, he's not a guy that just goes out and wins games. They don't just ride him to wins. He had 249 yards against South Carolina, but South Carolina's bad. 223 against Tennessee, he threw 2 picks. 239 against Bama, he threw a pick. It's nothing flashy. Like, he's not doing a ton that scares you. That's kind of my thing, is like he's not very mobile. I think Ole Miss gets after him early, maybe gets him to throw a pick or two. Maybe there's some ball security issues. Ole Miss has been really opportunistic on defense. They get after you. Top 5 in the country in sacks, top 10 tackles for loss. I think they get after this A&M offensive line early and really cause issues for the Aggies. And they have the really talented, like Ben said, the super talented roster, but they really can't put it all together. Austin mentioned the matchup of Petrino versus Golding, but how much of the offense is going to really be Bobby Petrino? I mean, there's no way of knowing, but I think it's pretty evident, kind of like with Kiffin and Charlie Weiss. Like there are games when it's very obvious who's calling plays and who's not. So Anaya Smith, I think, is the guy that Ole Miss has to shut down. He's got 569 yards receiving on the year. He's kind of their go-to big play guy. Evan Stewart's got over 500 yards, but outside of that, Moose Muhammad's kind of had a down year. Noah Thomas hasn't done much. And then Jake Johnson, the brother of Max Johnson's their tight end that they throw to, along with Max Wright. But it's not just, I don't know. Like, it just, on paper, they look like a solid offensive group, but it's nothing that scares you at all, right?
No, I think they're very much a punt and play defense kind of team. They just are at this point in Jimbo's tenure, even with the addition of Petrino to the staff. He just doesn't have the personnel. Again, he does on the perimeter, but not at the most important position on the field at quarterback, and he can't get the ball to his weapons. So I think they're going to run, play defense. I think this is going to be played at a snail's pace, which is, again, why I like the under. But I think that's Petrino's approach here. I think that's the formula for winning. They're going to try to grind us down, play field position, kick a field goal late and beat us. I don't see any other recipe, really. If he's gonna try to let Max Johnson drop back 35 times and throw the ball downfield, I think we can win in a rout. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't see a path forward for them with that approach. So if I'm him, I slow it down, play ball control, you know, lean on us in both lines of scrimmage, see if you can't steal one late.
This is why all of his games are within like 7 points either way,
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
because
That's
that's
right.
what he does.
Yeah, I like the run game here, the run game advantage here for Ole Miss. We've talked about Judkins. I think Ulysses Bentley has a big game. I think he's going to be an X factor. They're going to, I think they're going to stack the box and try to take Judkins away early. And I think Bentley's versatility outside of the backfield, catching passes, moving him laterally. I think they're going to challenge the speed of that A&M defense because we know about we know about the girth on the inside. They're big, they're physical. I think they're going to want to test those guys, get them moving side to side. And I don't know. Like y'all both said it. Kiffin's always had this one circled. He loves messing with Jimbo in the media and making jokes.
I
I
think
think this
Kiffin knows
one's
he's better than Jimbo, right?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's
Yep.
where this comes is he's like, man, we are so much better coached than you are that I'm going to win this game with equal to or lesser talent. Like that's what's going to
I
happen.
think and I think we said this last year. I think Kiffin takes exception to Jimbo because of all the tools and all the weapons he has at his disposal, and he just wastes them. And I think Kiffin almost takes that personal. Like if I had that roster, you know what I would be able to do? Like I think that's kind of his thing. Um,
Keep in
Yeah.
mind, 2 years ago we played them in Oxford in 21, and that was an absolute ass whipping
Yep.
that we did not take advantage of. At one point, I think in the first half, we had over 300 yards of offense, and they had like 50, and
yeah,
we were up like 10-3 or something
yeah,
absurd.
and
I'm
couldn't
throwing
put it in the
numbers
end
out, but
zone.
it was terrible. And most of those yards were rushing. I mean, we were getting 15, 18 yards a carry.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here. I mean, it's going to be a slog. It'll be a battle, but Ole Miss has been really good at home under Lane Kiffin. I think they're now 20-2 in the last 22 games. Um, I don't know if that's throughout his entire tenure at Ole Miss, but the last 22
And maybe
games they've won
19-2.
20.
I can't remember it. That's
I can't,
irrelevant, but
yeah, it's
both
either
numbers are really good.
yeah. So good at home. And I
Um,
think the team knows what's at stake here. Like Austin said, you win this one, you're 8-1. Like you're really putting your thumb on people around the SEC and making it hard for people to count you out week in, week out. So, yeah, I like Ole Miss. I think the 3 is easy to lay here, in my opinion.
yeah, that's why I locked it in. Look, give me the better quarterback at home, the better quarterback and the
Mm-hmm.
better coach. I mean,
And I think
that's
the crowd is going to be great. The crowd's been great all year, and I think it's going to be loud, even though it's 11
oh
a.m.
yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's get into our locks here. Ben's already got one. I'm going to jump in here. I'm gonna go ahead and get Fresno State on the board here. Let me double check the line. It's 3 at home against Boise State. Give me the Bulldogs and Jeffrey Tedford at home in the Valley. I'm riding with Ted Ball here. I love Fresno State. I think what they've done this year, they're 7-1. It's a down year for Boise, and they're really good at home. So I'm laying the 3 with Fresno State.
Ashton Genty, Boise's like all-world running back, might be out this week too. So that's
Dude was good a couple weeks ago when I saw him play against San Diego State.
look, he's really good. If he hits the portal, he's going to have a lot of
Yeah,
suitors. I mean, like Power Five, big boy suitors. So
yeah.
if he's out, yeah, I really like a flat 3. If he's out, you're probably going to get a lot of value there. If he's announced out before game time, this probably moves half a point or a point.
All right. Do we want to throw one of Nick's up, or Austin? Do you want to get one
Austin,
first?
Yeah, let me get one out of the way since Nick's not here. Let me go with the South Carolina Gamecocks playing at
Ooh,
home against
Ooh.
the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, who are like 7-2 this year, like sneaky, sort of good,
Yeah.
a good record anyway. But I've watched Jacksonville
Old
State
Rich Rod.
probably, yeah, I've watched them probably 3 times. They are the most fraudulent team in the country. They've played nobody, absolutely nobody. And when they do play somebody with a pulse, like Liberty, for example, Liberty beat them by 18. So South Carolina only laying, what's the number? Is it 15.5, Zach?
Yep. Across the board.
Completely disrespectful number here. I know that South Carolina's season has not gone the way they expected. I know they got beat last week at A&M. They've had some injuries, ups and downs. I get all that. This is what Ben likes to talk about in terms of classes of athletes. These are not in the same universe. These two teams do not recruit against each other. They don't have the same caliber of player. They don't have the same roster. They don't have the same coaching staffs. If South Carolina just plays an average game, give me a B- game. This is like 38-14 South Carolina. So
Also, it helps you too, and I agree with you on the class players. Yes, I always also say this: when the year's not going great, bad news for the G5 opponent,
exactly.
because they're going to prove to the AD and to the administration, to the boosters, hey, we are still good. We just can't beat A&M.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Keep giving to the collective. We still need you. Hang on to the rope. Watch
Yep.
how good we
Yep.
are. 42-17, South Carolina, right?
Correct. Yep.
Oh,
The other thing I
if
like
you've got a
here,
shot to blow them out, you're absolutely doing.
and another
Yep.
thing, as bad as South Carolina has been, they are getting some guys back this week. Okay, one. Point two, they can still bowl. They can still technically make a bowl game at this point. So they have stuff to play for. It's not pack it in time just yet. You win this one, you figure it out, survive in advance, and they've got a relatively manageable schedule down the stretch. I know Clemson's still out there lurking, but South Carolina can get to 6 wins. So I think they're going to play hard for Beamer. The last thing here, Rich Rod runs an absolute breakneck pace with Jacksonville State. They push the ball up and down the field. I like that in a situation like this. That means quick 3-and-outs, get the
Yeah.
ball back to the better team. That's how poor teams get run out of the building, right? Quick 3-and-outs. South Carolina gets the ball right back. Rattler scores. Jacksonville State has another quick 3-and-out. Punt the ball. Same thing. Rinse, repeat. Right.
Look
So
no further than 2017 Ole Miss
exactly,
Alabama.
we've seen this firsthand. I've seen how this can unravel, and I think it's going to quickly for Jacksonville State. The other thing, Rich Rod's a veteran coach. He's not trying to make his bones. He's not trying to prove a point or move back up the ladder. He knows what these games look like from the other side of the aisle, from the other sideline. He's been on that sideline. Rich Rod is not going to have any interest in scrapping, fighting, and clawing. He's got a schedule to play too in the Conference USA where they're, contenders. So I don't think Rich Rod has any problem getting beat 45-10 here. He's going to tip his cap, lick his wounds, go back to Jacksonville State, get ready for the
Take
next
the
game.
paycheck and go home.
Yeah.
Exactly. Take the
Get the
check,
check.
roll back to Alabama healthy, and look forward to next week. So I just think 15.5 is ridiculous. I understand why. I get why the market is not impressed with South Carolina, but this number is outrageous. It's got to be 3 touchdowns or 20 at South Carolina. Their fans are still going. They always show up. It'll be a packed house with a lot to play
They have an
for.
NFL quarterback at home. I mean,
Exactly. This one feels too easy. Y'all know how those usually turn out. Jacksonville State will be up late in the fourth quarter or some shit, but I just feel like you got to lay a
or
number here.
win. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that pick. Yeah. It's been tough sledding. They've had a lot of injuries. The offensive line's been really bad, and the defense has been probably worse. But when Rattler can cook, he's going to light people up. So I do not think Jacksonville State's going to have some linebackers or dudes on the back end to slow them down, especially if Xavier Legette, Juice Wells, they're finally throwing the football to Nick Harbor, which, wow, good things happen when you throw it to the 6'5", 250-pound guy that runs a sub 10 100-meter dash. I mean, who knew? Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, let's get Nick on the board. Let's keep him in sicko mode here. He is going to lay the I believe it's 5 for Iowa. Double check here. They are in Wrigley Field, taking on Northwestern, who got a dub last week. How about the Chicago's Big Ten team last week? I guess he's banking on some some fresh perspective on the offensive play calling here with Brian Ferentz no longer on staff.
But was he dismissed, or was that effective at the end of the year?
I
Like, is
believe
he done? Okay.
I believe he's
Okay.
done. I don't think he's there.
Okay.
I think people would be more mad if it's like, okay, we're firing him at the end of the year, but he's still going to be here and be terrible.
Yeah, like Pete Boone and Houston Nutt style.
I mean, what happens if they come out and just like score 35?
Oh my God. They may like
Dude.
actually want Kirk Ferentz's head at that point.
Hey,
There's
we've been watching this.
Yeah.
I listened to a national show today, and there were some Iowa people that kind of want a fresh start just altogether. Just real quick sidebar, who do you think fits at Iowa if they go scorched earth, fire everybody? Who would you think? I know the obvious answer, but I don't know if he'd take it.
I think the obvious answer is the right one, and I agree with you. I don't know that he would take it, but Mark Stoops.
Are they going to pay as much as Kentucky?
Yeah, that's, can you match it? I think if they can, maybe he leaves because maybe he knows he's kind of at his ceiling.
He's maxed out Kentucky, right?
He has, but here's the thing. Iowa's not getting any easier either, though, with the addition of USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon. Like, the Iowa job was sort of middle of the pack anyway. It just got about 4 spots worse with those additions. And I think any new coach coming in has to consider that. You can't just look at historic Iowa, which honestly probably punched above their weight anyway. But going forward, they're going to have to really punch above their weight to contend in that conference.
Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that Rose Bowl when they had that incredible year and Christian McCaffrey happened?
Oh, just scorched them. Yeah.
I mean, it was. I think they scored. I think they were up 28-0. Like almost. Like I don't even think it was second quarter yet.
Iowa has benefited from the fact that they're in the easy side of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I mean,
no doubt.
The East has Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. Yeah. And the West has Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Purdue, Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Iowa, they beat Wisconsin. They're going to the Big Ten championship game. Right. So, I mean, I just, that's part. Here's a thought too. If you're, and he's probably not going to be coaching this long, but if you're thinking about, like long-term stuff, the Pac-12's dissolved and has, combined into the Big Ten. Is Kentucky a safer job to remain in like a super conference than Iowa? Like, is Kentucky because of basketball?
Probably because you get basketball. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so.
And it's already in the SEC. And I think the super conference starts there and and builds out from there, frankly.
The only thing I could see about the pull to Iowa is he knows that he's one of theirs and he would have a longer rope than if things start to go sideways at Kentucky.
Well, they've clearly shown that. I mean, Ferentz has been there for how long? Like 30 years?
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you know where they should turn if Stoops doesn't want it? Burt. Isn't Burt from Iowa?
He fits there.
Played there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad job. It's just, the conference is going to get tougher, and
their division's going to get tougher.
Yeah. It's not a bad job. You're right, but it's also not a great job. Like, you have very few recruiting resources. There's almost no in-state talent, and again, you've had the benefit
I think they've capped out.
Yeah,
don't y'all? I mean,
exactly.
I mean, probably the best recruit they've had to come through there ever, Caden Proctor, goes to Bama. So, like,
right.
Back in the day when you used to just gobble up all the big uglies there that were good, they're just starting to go elsewhere now.
It's the thing with the window closing, like your opportunity passing, almost nobody realizes it as the window is closing. You only realize it when you look back on the era and you're like, shit, we should have taken advantage because, we had whatever. I think we're going to look back on this era for Iowa, like the last 10, 15, 20 years, and realize that was it. Like, that was the peak of Iowa football. They're going to win 7-8 games. I'm not saying to bury the program. I just mean, are they going to consistently beat USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon,
No.
Ohio State, Michigan? Come on, it's just not going to happen.
It's tough.
And yeah, that's just not that's not going to happen. You know, speaking of windows closing, I'll never forget this. I was like 12 or 13, 14, and Ole Miss played Nebraska in the Independence Bowl,
Yeah,
Bowl.
Shreveport.
and that was the end of it for them. That was like
Yeah.
the
Jamal
very
Lord
end.
was their quarterback.
That was like closing the door on
Yeah.
Nebraska football.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
but at the
Eric
time they were all
Krautzer,
expecting to bounce back the next year though. Like that
oh
they
yeah,
thought that was the low point of their program, playing in the
oh
Independence
yeah.
Bowl.
I specifically remember some Nebraska students walking in front of us as we were leaving the stadium, and they're like, "We suck so bad, we just got beat by them in the Independence Bowl." I remember a guy looking to his buddy and saying that, and thinking like, "What in the world? You just
Yeah.
lost to Eli Manning?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?" And now
2002.
Nebraska, they'd kill for the Independence Bowl.
Yeah.
They had a 40-year streak of winning seasons that was snapped that year.
The College Corner is headed to Oxford. Stop by their new location in the Oxford Commons off Sisk Avenue. They'll have 4,000 square feet of Rebel gear ready for your trip to the Grove. On your next trip to Oxford, stop by the College Corner or our other great locations in Ridgeland and Flowood. Hats, shirts, polos, pullovers, sweats, t-shirts. College Corner has it all. And as always, you can visit us online at collegecornerstore.com. That's collegecornerstore.com. The College Corner, where your game day apparel meets.
Are you looking at cutting your health insurance premiums by as much as 20 to 30%? Are you aging into Medicare and need help finding a Medicare supplement plan? Call Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group at 601-953-8449. Drew is an Ole Miss grad located in Mississippi and licensed in 7 states. He works with the nation's second largest health insurance brokerage with access to 35 different carriers, and he can help you with any of your health insurance needs. From regular health plans to life insurance to dental and vision and even Medicare, he has it all covered. Now more than ever, it is critical to have a health insurance agent who is local and accessible. So call Drew Moak at 601-953-8449 and get your free quote today.
They've never been back, to my knowledge.
No.
And here's another theory. I don't think that Iowa can be good and Nebraska also be good. Like, I don't think both of those things can happen.
Yeah.
So it's like one or the other. It's similar, and this is going to be weird, to Ole Miss and Auburn. Like, I don't know that both programs can both be in the top 10 unless Alabama's way down.
Somebody else has got to be out. Yeah. Yeah.
LSU, because you could just kind of bank on Alabama and LSU being there, right? But can Ole Miss and Auburn and those programs all exist in this reality of being in the top 15? I don't know that they can.
I don't think they all can coexist. That's why 2014 was so wild when Ole Miss and Auburn played that year, and they were both in the top 4. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ben, got your second lock for us?
Go ahead. I got so locked in on Iowa. I got to get back to my tab. Sorry.
Got to refocus.
Let's see. I'm going to go to
hopping back on the Madison wagon.
No,
the Dukes.
I don't think so. Let me double.
I kind of think they're vulnerable this week. I
Can
kind of
y'all
think they
believe? Also on that note, Southern Miss is a favorite this week.
Yeah, what the hell is going on?
That did get my attention.
Monroe must be terrible.
I don't know, man. I don't know that they're as bad as that would suggest. Now, I would want more than 2.5 to ever consider Monroe. But look, they played Texas State really, really closely a couple weeks back. Southern Miss damn sure can't move the ball like Texas State can.
And also on that note, is Marshall bad enough to give App State 4.5?
I'm considering locking that one. It's a consideration. App State is not the App State of yesteryear. They are not. They're bad.
I'm sorry, to receive 4.5 from App State.
Yeah,
App State is giving Marshall what?
Yeah, exactly. How is Marshall catching over a field goal? I know Boone is like a true home field advantage. I get that. But App State is not the team they were just a couple years ago.
USA just played them within 10.
Yeah, they were in a dogfight with Southern last week.
All right, I know where I'm going. I'll go back to Old Faithful. I'm going to go to Laramie, and I'm going to lay 7 with Wyoming at elevation. It's against a team that's comfortable at elevation in Colorado State. Colorado State just sucks. Now Wyoming's just 5-3, but Colorado State's just not very good. They had a real shot last week at making that Air Force game kind of fun, and
in an absolute blizzard.
Yeah, I mean, just awesome game just to watch, and they were bad. Shut out in the second half. Wyoming's just damn good at home. I mean, they're kind of in that territory of, typically Utah at home, other than last week when I nailed that one. Yeah, Rice Eccles, Reser Stadium with Oregon State. Like Wyoming is very similar in that capacity. Like it's very, very tough for people to go to War Memorial Stadium and get an easy dub. But also it's just 7 points, and I just think Wyoming will be fine. I mean, they've put up they beat Fresno State earlier in the year at home. They put up 35 against New Mexico. Put up 27 in a great game against Air Force. It wasn't at home, but outside of a lopsided weird one against Boise, I think they handle business here. So I like the Cowboys.
Weird shit happens up in Laradice with the Cowboys. So yeah, I'm with you. It's so hard for opposing teams to go in there and pull out a W.
Dude, it's hard. It's hard when you see those end zones and they're doo-doo brown. You don't know what to do.
Your locker room says you're 7,000 feet above sea level or whatever it is.
Yeah, I saw did you see the cinematic video of the Oregon win last week? And it showed Dan Lanning in the tunnel, and on the wall at Rice Eccles, it says, "Welcome to 5,000 feet." It's pretty damn cool.
That's cool.
All right.
Austin, you got one?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go maybe a little contrarian here. Down in Gainesville, Florida, the Arkansas Razorbacks are facing Florida. 6-point line. I'm more interested in the total, though. Zach, what's the number there?
Let me effort that for you real quick. We can all agree that Arkansas is 1,000% quit, right?
I hope not. Based on what number I'm about to get.
Total's 50.5.
And a half even? Jeez.
I mean, do you want 51? Bet Rivers.
No, I want 50 flat, but I'll take over 50 and a half. I think, all right, so here's the deal. Arkansas fired their offensive coordinator, who was terrible and deserved to be fired. But I think we're all overreacting to the last time we saw Arkansas and they put up 3 points against an awful Mississippi State team. That's not really, that's one game. It's kind of an outlier. I'm not saying Arkansas's offense was high powered for their other games for the rest of the season, but they did at least get into the 20s against basically everybody other than State. So I think there are rumors, their message boards are indicating they're going to go tempo, try to get the ball out of KJ's hands faster. I think Rocket Sanders might actually finally play this season. I don't think I'm asking too much for Arkansas to get me 21 or 24 here. And with a 6-point number, a 6-point spread, Florida at 30-24 gets me over 50. I just think 50 is a little low. And the entire market, remember, 7-3 against State, which I get. Both teams looked awful. I just think we're going to get a better Arkansas offense this week. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it doesn't have to. 50 is a pretty low number with two in a game, I should say, featuring two pretty mediocre to below average defenses. Florida has to be deflated after last week. They threw everything they had at Georgia and it didn't matter. I can see this one getting kind of loose at 11 a.m. in Gainesville. I think it's something like 33-23 Florida, and we go over 50.
Okay.
I like that.
I'd love to see
I like that pick.
Sam show some fight, show some spunk.
Yeah, and you got look, if they're going to play, and maybe they don't, maybe they come out and lay down again. But if they're ever going to play for Sam Pittman, now's the time. It's shit or get off the pot time, because you just lost your offensive coordinator, you just put up 3 points against Mississippi State, and you had a bye week. So, like, if that week to lick their wounds and get healthy and come up with a game plan, if you don't come out this week guns blazing, they're dead. It's over.
All right. What can you get me for the total in Starkville?
True sicko mode podcast here. 45.5, 46. Yeah.
I'm going to take – that's such a low number. Let's do it. I'm going to go under 46 in Starkville. Listen, Mississippi State is, in my opinion, has to be on the verge of quitting after the Auburn game last week. There's talks that they're going to make a coaching change. I really believe that that decision is going to hinge on how Ole Miss finishes this year. However crazy that may sound, I think that's the truth. I also think that the Egg Bowl is going to control that, not the Kentucky game. State typically plays Kentucky well, but Kentucky takes the air out of the ball. Their quarterback's pretty good, or he's playing better over the last couple of weeks than he was earlier in the year. I subscribe to the theory that y'all had that he was injured because it seems like the ball has a lot more velocity, or at least it did against Tennessee.
100%.
And I think that with that said, though, State is going to be content making this game 18-15 or 24-21, which is very close to it. But I think that that's going to be about where this game maxes out. And I'm really banking on State not being able to score more so than Kentucky. And Kentucky's content with the game being them scoring 24 and State getting to like 14. So I'm going to go under 46. I also don't think the State covers this line, even though they typically play Kentucky well. And I guess maybe they could win it. But I think that this is I think last week might have been the coffin nail on their effort for the rest of the year, other than the Egg Bowl. I think they'll give a last-ditch effort then, but even then, that game doesn't have the fire that it did 5 years ago. It's just not the same. Nobody can tell me differently. They cannot tell me since the piss and the miss that game's had half the passion that it once did. I don't know if COVID changed it or what, but it's just not. It's just not the same. And so I think we'll get a little bit of effort out of them that week, but I think they're done other than that. So I'm going to go under 46.
All right.
I like it. I'm with you. State's path to success in this game, and really any game, is to take the air out of the ball and just hope to win 7-3 like they did against Arkansas. They cannot get in a track meet. They're incapable of it. They have no vertical passing game. They have no weapons outside or at tight end. It's basically Mike Wright and what's the running back's name? Marks. That's it.
Yeah. All right. We are going to give Nick Army Air Force under 32. That is, I don't know about that one. I probably would have gone over, or at least laid the points with Air Force, because I think Air Force is a wagon at this point. They're rolling. So he's going to sit with that one. I am really struggling with a couple here. I'm trying to make sure I'm going with my head, not my heart. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Notre Dame. Let me double check the line here and make sure everything is copacetic. It is a flat 3 across the board. Yeah, I'm laying 3 with Notre Dame. Some people are trying to posit that the caller, the Tyler from Spartanburg, was a plant and it wasn't a real caller, and because Dabo had all these stats ready to reel off and he fired back at him, he didn't hesitate, blah, blah, blah. I just think Notre Dame's better. I don't think Clemson is really good at all. And I'm going to take the better team with the better quarterback, even if it's on the road. I like Notre Dame in this spot. They've really been able to kind of put the clamps down on people this year, and I don't think they've gotten enough credit for it. I mean, they absolutely annihilated Pittsburgh last week. They embarrassed SC. The weird one at Louisville, Sam Hartman, I think, is somebody's got a voodoo doll that's a Louisville fan, because he just can't beat Louisville, even back to his time when he was at Wake Forest. And then they won a scrappy game on the road at Duke, and Duke's a good football team. So I like their defense to show up. Since Jeff Scott left Clemson, they haven't had any explosive players at wide receiver. I mean, Antonio Williams is just completely neutered there in that offense. Probably a name to keep an eye on in the portal if he were to get in. Hint, hint. But yeah, I like the Irish here. I think Clemson just sucks, just flat out sucks. The dynasty has long. You talk about windows closing, it's over.
The way Clemson is talked about or viewed is so weird to me. Like nobody will just say what you just said, which is like they just suck, man. They don't have the players. People keep trying to like speculate or figure out what's going on. Is their locker room issue? Like
They're not paying. They're
exactly,
not
they just
paying.
don't have dudes anymore, man. They don't have the dudes they used to have. And look,
Mhm.
Notre Dame is kind of good, like good.
They
They
are.
got in a tough position at Louisville, which was at the end of a long run of games, intense games, on the road. And Louisville's good, but other than that, like Notre Dame, who's their other loss? Ohio State. That's it, right?
Yeah, and they should have won that game.
Yeah, they should have won that game. So
They're physical too. They are
so physical in the trenches, more physical than Clemson is.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
Clemson
Clemson,
used to have a decided advantage in the trenches against most teams. They do not have an advantage against Notre Dame. Not even close.
yeah, I mean they got beat up against NC State, and by
Yeah.
God, you talk about coaches speaking out. Inject Dave Doran into my veins with what he said after their game to Steve Smith. I mean, that was so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, just no hesitation. Also keep in mind, I think Will Shipley's not playing in this game.
I think that's right. Yeah. Is
So
it concussion? I think
I don't know. I heard on several shows this week that he was probably out. So I mean, come on, like he's probably one of their few weapons that they do have, and he's kind of like their heartbeat on offense. And man, if they don't have him, I don't know. I think this is a game where Notre Dame might just whip them up and down the field.
and
So
Notre Dame's off a bye. Is that right? Or who did they have last week? Was it a bye?
No, they beat Pitt.
Yeah,
Oh
I was
yeah,
about to say, I don't think
basically
they're
a bye.
bye.
That was basically a bye against Pitt.
58-7.
Yeah. Pitt didn't
Yeah.
even make them break a sweat. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, Dabo's refusal to use the portal and his weird rules about who can visit, who can, if you're committed to them, you can't go anywhere. He hasn't adapted. He's just been slamming his head into the wall and square peg, round hole and everything. And it's biting him in the ass now.
Do y'all think he adapts, or do you think he falls on the sword and says, I'll go coach G5?
I don't know, man. This to me, this looks like a Sam Pittman type situation where Sam Pittman in Arkansas were flat rolling and people were buzzing. And then Barry Odom and Kendall Briles leave, and then, oh, look what happened. I know he had some generational quarterbacks with Trevor Lawrence and Taj Boyd and Deshaun Watson. But as soon as Jeff Scott left and as soon as Brent Venables left, I mean, it fell apart. So
Yeah.
maybe
They're not getting rid of Dabo.
No, he'll have to quit. Like they won't fire him.
He'll literally have to quit or take a different job. Yeah. I mean, they were, I'm not saying irrelevant. It was a good program, but I mean, he took them to how many college football playoffs? Yeah. He's as safe as he could be, even though you can't suck forever though, I guess. I mean,
yeah.
Nor can you give like this, staunch stance on so many things that are so controversial that are bad for the program. Like you can't be like, yeah, well, we're going to be full of love and not NIL money. It's like no player wants to hear that, dude. They just want the money.
It's what I've been saying for years. He's trust fund Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Like they're the exact same person.
Yeah.
And I think he's too proud and egotistical to admit that he was wrong, and he's gonna, well, if you want to get in the portal, we don't want you. And if you're in the portal, that means you quit on whoever you were with. And he's gonna keep doing that bullshit, and it's not gonna work.
It's like, okay, well, we'll take that linebacker that had 300 tackles at James Madison. Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
I mean, imagine the Ole Miss defense in 21 without even the transfer from Navy, Stringer. I mean, that guy was awesome.
Yeah,
Noticeable
sick.
difference when he was out.
For sure. I mean,
He made a
huge in that
huge
huge in the
difference.
Tennessee game. Yeah.
Tennessee game. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's exactly what I was thinking. All
All
right.
right,
I've got one, and this is going to be a sick pick. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself.
sick.
So let's go to East Lansing
Ugh.
to the Soviet bloc itself, and we're going to
In East
lay
Lansing,
3
football
with the
plays you.
Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska's playing to get bowl eligible. I know
Yep.
that's like a joke with A&M, but really that's a big deal for them. They've kind of stunk as we know since the Independence Bowl in
Have they
2002.
kind of found something?
I think they have. Again, I
Well, they're
watched them
5 and
last week
3.
because,
Yeah. Go ahead.
well, no, they just beat my ass up and down the field with my Purdue bet. But yeah, no, they're not good at anything, but they just they don't make any mistakes. It's not like the old Scott Frost teams where they beat themselves. They, shank a punt or fumble the ball or whatever. Like they play pretty sound football. They don't have any explosive
Matt
players.
Rule's not going to let them do that. He's not going to let
Exactly.
them beat themselves.
They
Yeah.
run the ball and
And
punt. Yeah.
who does Michigan State have as a coach? I mean, they have Adolf Hitler trivia
Yeah.
questions on their video board. Like they're a complete train wreck. So
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say Nebraska found something, aka they stopped playing Jeff Sims at quarterback.
Right.
Which great
Yep.
segue here because you mentioned the Hitler trivia question. Nebraska's quarterback is Heinrich Harburg.
What a name!
Yeah.
And also, that guy was drinking beer at like 12 years old, no question.
Exactly.
A lot of vowels.
And like
Bush light.
yeah,
He's like David Beckham drinking Guinness when he was like 9.
Yeah.
Bulgarian buttermilk, and yeah. So I like the Huskers here. I like late in the season. I trend towards playing or picking games against certain schools, and Michigan State is one that has nothing to play for. Those players are shopping themselves around to other schools already, trying to just get through. They have a few guys playing hard to try to make a combine and get picked up in the draft. Other than that, those guys are checked out, looking for somewhere else to play. Meanwhile, Nebraska feels like it's on the ascent a little bit. I mean, they're not, like also said, they're not good, but I just think all I got to do is win by 3. Yeah, I'm going to take the Cornhuskers.
They're not good, but they have an identity, and they haven't had one in like 20 years, and they finally have one now. And again, it's not sexy. It is Nebraska AF, but like again, it worked against Purdue last week, and I think you're going to get a similar result this week. Michigan State's already got guys hitting the portal and shit. They're done. They're checked out.
Yeah, I was gonna say weeks like 9 through 11 is when you really got to keep an eye on those quit watch teams and just fade them.
Yep.
And Michigan State is done. This podcast also comes to you thanks to Bluff City Advisory Group, Memphis's leading team of finance professionals who can provide advanced assistance with financial planning, pension, and qualified plan support, and business and estate planning strategies as well. Former Ole Miss Rebel and founding partner Ben Still, along with his elite-level customer service team, make it their goal to help you meet the ongoing demands of your financial needs. Learn about this and more at bluffcityadvisory.com. Cooler temperatures are right around the corner, and as I like to say, it's the perfect time to play a round of golf. And if you're looking for a premier golf course in Northwest Mississippi or the Memphis, Tennessee area, go to Cherokee Valley Golf Club in Olive Branch, 15 minutes from the Memphis International Airport. With those cooler temps, you might want to stay warm and comfortable on the course this fall. Go in the clubhouse and check out their new selection of outerwear from Travis Matthew and FootJoy, including FootJoy's new lightweight hoodie. This 18-hole par 72 course includes 4 sets of tees to accommodate all players and has 11 lakes, 52 bunkers, and the wide Zoysia fairways and extra-large Champion Bermuda greens and clean roughs make for an excellent opportunity every single time to post a number. If you need a premier golf experience in the Mid-South, go to Cherokee Valley Golf Club. Call them at 662-893-4444 or check them out, olivebranchgolf.com. All right,
I
Austin, you got one
almost
or...
took Auburn minus 12.5 for that reason.
Oh, God.
I almost did, but I don't trust them enough to score that much.
Not at Vandy.
That
Not at
Vandy
First
team.
Bank Stadium.
Jesus.
That Vanderbilt team is bad, dude. Like,
Yeah.
they
They're
are
so
so bad.
bad.
It is embarrassing that Georgia played the way they did against Vanderbilt because
Yeah.
that's a bad football team.
That's what I keep
Now-
telling people. They're like, well, Ole Miss is not just going to roll into Athens and put up a fight. Like, dude, they gave up 20 points to Vandy.
No, the quarterback that Vandy brought in was an absolute
Dude.
unit.
I saw him on field.
Alien.
I saw him field level when I text y'all that Swan wasn't dressed out. That dude straight up looked like a basketball player they just put pads on. Like,
Yeah.
he
Kiffin was
basically-
all of us when he said, "Did Vanderbilt sign Cam Newton or something?"
Yeah.
In the post game, he was like, "What?" It was like,
looks
"Yeah,
like-
that was exactly me."
He looks like Murphy Holloway in pads.
Yeah. Left-handed too, like Murph.
Dude, he was massive.
Throws about
6'7",
like Murph, too.
235.
Yeah. Monster.
Couldn't throw it in the ocean from the beach.
No.
Have fun tackling him though 17 times.
We need that number 10 to transfer to the Rebs. What's his
Linebacker.
name? Like, he
Langston
looks like
Patterson.
his name. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say his name looked like it'd be a last name first.
Definitely
Yeah,
a Vandy kid. Yeah,
Is
he
he the
was all
kid from Nashville?
Yeah,
His
he
dad
went,
played football at Alabama.
Oh, really?
yeah, he went to CPA.
Yeah.
His brother was at Clemson and then transferred back home to Vandy, so he went to Vandy to play with him.
And he's transferred to the SIP.
Yeah, he's
He
a
made
dude.
about 45 tackles in that game.
And had a pick, right?
I can't imagine playing for a team that bad and just being the guy who makes like a Patrick Willis
Yeah.
and just be the guy who makes every single
DeMarcus
tackle.
Gates.
Like, I would just quit. I'd be like, all right, guys, I'm done.
Yeah, Jesus,
And
guys.
here's your little he's perfect for Ole Miss. When he was in high school, led CPA to the 2021 state championship in baseball. Hit 421, school record 12 dingers. So he could play some baseball too.
Yeah, I'm sure our coaches would think that he couldn't play.
We can't play at Vandy because he's not from like Massachusetts or
Yeah, he's not from New Hampshire.
Connecticut. Yeah.
Or Chicago. Yeah.
His first name's not Hockey, so he can't play.
Yeah.
All right. Austin, you got
What
one?
was that guy's name at Vanderbilt? Roe Coleman?
Oh, hell yeah. The dude was like 5'4".
Yeah, he was so fast.
What is he doing now? Let's see what old Roll Coleman's up to.
Oh, so you got one while he's looking?
Yeah, I got one. I'm gonna go another total here. I think I've had more luck with totals this year than sides. So go total again. Virginia Tech, Louisville. I think any number starting with a 4 is too low. I think the market is not caught up to Virginia Tech having an offense. Like finally they have a quarterback. Louisville is going to score. Brom's done a really good job there. I think Louisville comfortably gets into the 30s here. And I think Virginia Tech can give us 24, 27, something like that. 38, 27 is a comfortable over with a number. Zach, is it 48? Is that what you?
Efforting. Lines 9.5. Total is anywhere from 47.5, 48, 48.5.
Give me 47.5. That is way too low in this game. Again, Virginia Tech's they're not world beaters, but they can get in the 20s, and they have, I think, for their last like 4 out of 5 games. Louisville's defense has been okay. They're not elite though. I just think with the kid at QB now, I'm blanking on his name. Who is it? We were talking about him the other day in the group text.
Kyron Drones.
Drones, yeah. I think he's good enough to get me 21 or 24 here. That should be enough.
All right. Over 47.5. All right. Last one for Nick here. As I did find, Roe Coleman is on staff at Vandy, so good for him. He's chilling. Let's play a game here. Let's pick. So we've got Navy minus 6.5 or Missouri, Georgia under.
What's the total in Mizzou?
That would be 55, 54.5. depending on he wants under. So we can go under 55.
Yeah, do
And
that.
then who's Navy playing?
Are they playing Temple? Is that right?
Maybe football is
I think so. And
playing
yeah, they are.
Temple, yeah.
And Temple may be getting their quarterback back this week. So I don't know if Nick knew that. It's Kurt Warner's kid, right?
Oh,
Yep.
really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And he's not, he's not great, but he's better than their backup. And I wouldn't lay almost a touchdown with Navy against anybody, really.
All righty.
Man, that is a risky pick, that total in Virginia or in Georgia, Mizzou.
Yeah,
I know.
because
You run the risk of
Georgia,
Georgia pulling a Kentucky game and
Right. Georgia
getting
might
it
get wild. Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. And their offense has come alive over the last couple of weeks.
yeah, Carson Beck's been playing well. They could be in Death Star mode against a team like Missouri.
And Missouri
That's
off the
until we
bye. Like, what if Missouri puts up 20?
that's until the Rebs show up.
Yeah. That's going to be
We're well, let me ask y'all this before we get off. What happens if Ole Miss wins out?
uh-oh.
All right. And let's not really worry about I know this we're kind of relying on what everybody else does, but let's just say Ole Miss wins out and goes 11-1. Does Ole Miss make the college football playoff? Gut reaction.
Yes.
I think Ole Miss finishes 5th.
Oh, that would be brutal. At that point,
I think that's the.
I think we would have inarguably the best win if we were to finish 11-1. Because
And
beating
probably the best loss.
and
Yeah,
probably the best loss, yeah.
And strength of record, like the strength of schedule, strength of record, whatever. Like Ole Miss is, I think they're already 5 or 6 right now. And you have to think if Ole Miss beats Georgia, Georgia wins out. So their record's going to be good. It's going to be up there.
And even if Georgia were to go on and lose in the SEC championship game, that's on a neutral. If Ole Miss goes into Athens and wins, that's the best win of the year.
Yeah,
best one of the
for
year.
sure. Because it'll be a top 3 Georgia.
And here's something to consider. Both Georgia and Alabama, if that's who we were competing with to make would have home losses.
Yeah, right.
Now,
Yeah, but again, like we've talked about, if Ole Miss goes 11-1 and you end up at 5, you're still going to go to a great access bowl. You're going to play a fun opponent in a really cool game. It just it is what it is.
Yeah, it would just feel like the opportunity of a lifetime. Then we just narrowly missed out.
Yeah. But I said this on my show with David Brandt. If you gave Ole Miss fans 11-1 and your one loss is at Alabama, every single Ole Miss fan takes it. Not a single person turns it down.
No, of course not. Of course not.
But yeah, it would suck. But
and it tells you how fine the line is in college football, and partly why I can't wait for the expansion of the playoff, because guys, I mean, it's stupid that you'd have to literally go undefeated in this case. I guess you could go 11-1, but your loss has to be at Georgia.
Yeah, it's got to be the right loss, which is just dumb. Like,
and that right loss isn't Alabama.
Exactly.
I think
I mean, a loss at Bama is not like that. That's too bad. You lost at Alabama.
Yeah.
The list of schools that could go to Alabama and guarantee themselves to not lose, it's 0. Like, nobody's 100% going to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Dude, I don't know that Texas would beat them again if they played this week.
No, they wouldn't beat them again. But I mean, that's just part of it. And
could this be a case where you have the benefit of your biggest win and maybe the best win in college football is late in the year?
Certainly doesn't hurt.
I feel like timing is a lot or plays a big factor and is something that people can factor in where, hey, you stumbled in September, but you rebounded well and won out. Like, I think that could be something, but I still think you're just going to need a lot of help because you're going to need more losses from, like, Oregon, if they went out or have one loss, probably still ahead of you, right?
I don't know, man. I think a win on the
If we
road
go
at
11-1
Athens,
with a win over Georgia,
yeah,
we're jumping Oregon.
that's more
Okay.
impressive than a win at
I
Washington,
think so.
in my opinion.
I think so. Yeah.
And I like Washington. We've pumped
Now,
Washington all year. I just think Athens is different than Washington.
is Oregon, are
A
they
three-time
viewed
champ, like or
correct better than us? Probably.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I guess, I mean, I hate this, but that it's true, but their program has earned that.
for sure.
Who?
And I think they are better than us. Like, don't get me wrong. I think
Who,
they
Oh, yeah,
Oregon?
me
are.
too. Me too. Me too. Yeah.
But if we're just talking about resumes and not the eye test, I think a win on the road at Athens is more impressive than a win or than a
Yeah.
close loss on the road in Seattle and a win in Rice Eccles with a depleted Utah roster. I mean, this is not Cam Rising Utah.
Yeah, I definitely think y'all are right that Ole Miss would jump Oregon because here's another thing where timing is huge. If Oregon's undefeated and loses in the Pac-12 title game, then that's a fresh loss.
Yeah, right.
Um,
And look, Oregon's still got the Civil War. They still got some
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they still got some roadblocks for sure.
Just
I
like
think,
us.
Yeah, and you have to beat Georgia first, and then you have to not stumble against Mississippi State on the road.
Yeah.
Because y'all know how that game goes.
And look, we got to take care of this one Saturday first too. I mean,
got to beat A&M. But yeah, man, I mean, you want to talk about a fun couple weeks if Ole Miss is 9-1, after going to Athens, beating the back-to-back national champs in their building.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm gonna be there. And as Austin would say, if that happens, y'all gonna make me act up.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of cold beer that would be missing on Sunday in Athens after that one.
If Ole Miss wins out, is this the best Ole Miss team ever?
Yes.
Outside of, I guess, 59. But
Yeah,
that team lost to
100%.
Billy Cannon, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
which is so funny. Like, I don't think it's the best roster ever, but I think again, just on resume, like they would have done something that no team has done since the 60s. So yeah, I think it would have to be.
Yeah, I mean, and still rarefied
air. It makes
you
wonder. Go ahead, Zach.
I was going to say, still rarefied air, a chance at, setting a record anyway. If you lose, you go to Georgia and you lose 35-22, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Win out 10-2, go to a bowl game, you win 11 games for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still, and I hate the people that do the like, well, if you go 10-2, like it's a failure, or, like that's dumb. Like you can't do that. I mean, that's 2 10-win regular seasons in 3 years.
I mean, look, I don't think
Go
we're going to lose this weekend. I damn sure don't want to lose this weekend. But let's say we do and end up 9-3. Our season win total was 7.5 in Vegas this season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 9-3.
We're
I know
pretty
it's going to
much
feel disappointing, but it's a damn good season.
at this point. As long as you hold serve against, now don't get me wrong, we're favored against A&M, so you should win that game.
Yeah.
But if you win the games you're favored and go 10-2, that's a successful year. And if you lose to A&M and win the remaining games you're favored, don't cover all of them or whatever, then and go 9-3 and go to the Citrus Bowl, guys. Let me tell you, I want to win the national championship as much as anybody. But if somebody could guarantee me an average finish of the Citrus Bowl, I would take it. Like going forward, Ole Miss will average. That means some years they'll do access, some years they'll go to Music City, but on average, they're going to the Citrus Bowl. I'd take that.
Yeah. And if you wouldn't, then you weren't at that Independence Bowl in Shreveport against Nebraska 20 years ago.
You weren't. I mean, I just, we went from, and think of it this way. And I know we got to get off because Austin's got to leave, but we have our program. I keep saying program. I don't know how to pronounce that. We've elevated it, right? In the late 90s and early 2000s, it was all Independence and Music City. And then fast forward to the Nut, got really bad under Orgeron. And then fast forward to Nut, and we go to quasi access bowls back to back, right? He likes to say that. And then Freeze elevated us back to access, but we went 1 year Birmingham, which is like the Independence level, and then Music City, which is a little bit better. And then we went access, and then probation. And then Kiffin comes and we go Outback, which is a good bowl, better than Music City, but not quite access. It's more like Citrus. And then he goes, what do we get? Sugar after that? And then last year back to the Texas, and here we are headed back for an access. And so I guess what I'm saying is like the average bowl that we're going to is getting better and better with each coach or each good hire. Yeah. I guess I should say. I don't know. I just think our program is as good a shape as it's ever been, frankly. For a school the size of ours with the money we have and the resources we have and the stadium size we have and the fan base size we have and the state that we're in, what is a realistic expectation for maximum good, I guess I should say? Is it now? Is this it? Are we living in it? Or can we be better? Can we expect to be better? I'll tell you all this. I think we have more talent in 14 and 15. And it makes me wonder but maybe we didn't. It makes me wonder what Kiffin could have done with those guys.
Yeah.
I think we're better at quarterback and running back now, and we may be a little deeper in spots on defense. But think about the high-end guys in 14 and 15. Marquise Haynes, Robert Kimdichie. We don't have anybody like that.
Man, there were guys like Woody, and wasn't he on the 15 roster as well?
Oh yeah.
That had a cup of coffee in the NFL, and were pretty damn good while they were there. Yeah. DJ Jones
is still playing in the NFL, and so he's probably the best one. I didn't even mention him. I just think those teams were so talented, and here we are winning 9-10 games with what appears to, and it's not disparaging the players, it's just true. Like the 2015 Ole Miss Rebels did not have Dayton Wade in the two-man at receiver. And he has and I love Dayton Wade, but he has over 500 yards. They didn't have Jordan Watkins in the two deep.
No.
Those guys both have over 500 yards right now. Now, Trey Harris is probably in the two deep, but does he start? Maybe.
I mean, you're talking about a team at one point that DeMaurier Stringfellow was a third stringer.
Yeah. Maybe
correct.
Fourth. Yeah, right. Yeah, like the
he would
receiver.
He would be our best receiver on this team.
Yeah.
Or maybe
DeMarcus
second behind.
Just
Van Jefferson couldn't get enough balls, so he transferred to now this is a little later. Couldn't get enough balls, so he transferred to Florida.
Yeah, those you talk about NFL guys. I mean, at that position particularly, we were spoiled for a couple years.
Yeah. Now we also at running back, and he played in the NFL, but had like Akeem Judd, whereas now we have elite running back.
But also like Jordan Wilkins, and again,
I know.
Q is better than those guys, but I'm just saying they were good enough.
Correct. It's just amazing that those teams, and this is an indictment on point of this. It's good. It's like a praise of Kiffin and indictment of Freeze. Freeze took that team and lost to Memphis. Got blown out by Florida. Like that would never happen under this staff. Yeah, we went and got blown out by Arkansas, but the team had quit. That Memphis loss was like early in the year. Everything was still in front of them.
It was in like September. Yeah.
It's definitely it's cliche, but
good times ahead.
A new era. Yeah.
I just think that and I think we are, but as we improve talent, it's not unreasonable to continue to expect these types of season outcomes. Now, I do think that there's a lot more parity in the SEC at this point because of the transfer portal. So I think there's going to be a lot more teams, it's just the margin for error is going to be so much smaller. I think there's going to be a lot of 8-4s and 7-5s. I could be wrong, but I just think, Auburn is going to roll out a 7-5 and Ole Miss is going to roll out 8-4, but you could be 3 plays from 10-2 and 3 plays from 6-6.
Yeah. But it's also with the expansion, Ole Miss could slip up one time too many and maybe be down a couple players at a couple spots, but still go 9-3 and still get in. And then it's
just a tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. Just see what happens. So yeah, I mean, my last thing about winning out and just kind of a best case scenario for winning out, you win out, somehow get in at 4, but you're not in Atlanta, but who cares? Because you get that extra week. And, to prepare, get healthy, all of that. So if it were to come to that, I know there are going to be some people that are going to be mad last year of the SEC championship game or, divisions, whatever, not making it, not winning the West outright. At that point, who cares? You're 11-1, you're in. Just get healthy and get ready. All right, we got our 12 locks in. I'm excited for this weekend. Ben, you made the point earlier, 11 a.m. kick. So Ole Miss gets a dub, then you get the rest of the day to kick back and watch games. So,
yeah, I mean, selfishly, I know it's not going to be quite – night games are just different. But with the weather cooling off, I kind of like the day game. And, I mean, I'm just kind of old. I like waking up, having my coffee, maybe a bite for breakfast, maybe not, and then rolling straight to the stadium and watching the game. Like, I don't mind that at all. Especially when it's 60 outside. That's man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You can't
being able to fire up
that.
the grill afterward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a good slate of games. We've got all of our picks here for you. Got some winners as we look to improve on 63 and 45. I'm
Sheesh.
feeling pretty good about our chances of getting to 70 wins through week 10. So, we'll be back next week for week 11 to recap everything here. Big thanks to our title sponsor, Home Field Apparel. Remember, promo code TOC23. Get you some merch. Get that 15% discount. And hey, if you got your doubts about can you pull off the bomber jacket, just do it and just get it. You could probably do it. So thanks to you, the listener, for tuning in every week. This is what gives us the juice to bring this show to you. We know that you folks like to enjoy it as much as we do. And thanks to the rest of the sponsors that make it possible. So that'll do it for Hit That Line week 10 week 10, man, flew by. Ole Miss looks to improve to 8-1 on Saturday, 11 a.m. ESPN at Vaught Hemingway. Get there if you can. Should be a fun one. For Ben, for Austin, I'm Zach. And for Nick, too. He's not here, but he gave us some picks. That'll do it. Until next week, we out of here.